always wanted to make my own graphic tees, graphic hoodies, graphic sweatshirts, like graphic hats. I'm so excited. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm so excited you're here today. This is such a good video. For those of you that are new, my name is Orly Shani. This is the DIY designer. I do really great DIY fashion and sometimes home decor, and I release videos every Friday. So I'm so glad that you found me today. Man, today is all about like basically creating your own merch, which I'm really, really stoked on because I have been wanting to do something like this forever, and I was so intimidated. So basically this is all coming together with my Cricut. I finally got a Cricut, and if you're anything like me, it's like an intimidating product. It feels intimidating. It's not now that I have one, but it seemed intimidating. It's, you know, this big, beautiful printer, and it's got this software on the computer, and I kept hearing people talk about like SVG files. What's an SVG file? Oh my God. It's literally nothing, by the way. It's the easiest thing in the whole world. Within 10 minutes of like plugging it in and like installing the application into my thing on the computer, I had made this shirt, which is my logo. I grabbed as like my first tester, I grabbed my own YouTube logo. I literally just like upload, tap, it converts it to an SVG, it printed it, and I freaking ironed it, and now I've got my own like custom DIY designer shirt. Oh my gosh. My very first project testing out my Cricut.
Worked.
It worked. Glitter, metallic, my YouTube logo, just to kind of see what the vibe is. I just ran around my house like a freak because I thought it was gonna be so complicated. I just pressed print and it went. Whether you're making clothing, whether you're making mugs, whether you're making artwork or decals or custom cards, like it just elevates everything. Everything is clean and crisp and precisely cut, and you can be using cool fonts and clip art and image. I mean, there's so much stuff that you can do with this. One more thing I forgot to mention, if you have a Cricut, you can use it as a side hustle. There are a lot of people that are right now making graphics or actually making things like printing them out and shipping them for graphic t-shirts or labels or artwork, custom cards. So if you get a Cricut, it could be a little pandemic side hustle, if you know what I'm saying. It's gonna take your creativity to the freaking moon. I wanna like demystify it. Basically, that's my goal with this video, is to demystify this. So if it's been something that you've been overwhelmed with, you should not be. Per usual, I've got all my fun hacks and tips and tricks. I'm so excited. Okay, let's get right into it. So when you first get your Cricut, you're just gonna go onto the website and it's gonna walk you through the installation process. Just like any time that you install like a new software, a new application, it's gonna give you the directions as you go. So just follow the directions. You'll take the Cricut tab, you'll pop it into your applications, and then that's where you'll find it. I decided to put mine on the dock just because I know how much I'm gonna use it, but you can keep it anywhere that you want. It's going to go through a process of just like downloading any new updates, and then it's gonna walk you through how to set it up. It'll show you literally plug this plug into this, plug this plug into this, you know, make it like about 10 inches away from the wall. That's so that you can actually feed paper through it. Now, when you open it up, you're gonna see all of these projects that already exist. So if you want, you could go ahead and use some of the already made projects, and you can also look through all of the images. You can see some of these are like 99 cents, really, really cool images that are ready to go if you don't wanna actually create your own. But what I wanna do is show you guys how to create your own. So you're gonna click on New Project. I really like using the templates just so that I can get kind of like a frame of reference of like sizing and shape and scope. It helps me visualize it, but it's not necessary. Now, first thing I'm gonna do is just click text. I wrote one of a kind, like that's it. I just literally typed the text in and just dragged and dropped it where I wanted it. Now is when you pick your font. There are tons of fonts within the Cricut application itself, and also your regular fonts, really up to you to pick what you want. Then I clicked shapes and I put in a heart. I thought it could be cool to do a shirt that said like one of a kind on the front and then said like DIY on the back in a heart. So I put the word in and I was like, wait a minute, I don't actually know how to do that. 2 seconds later, I Googled it. It's like one click. Basically, I learned in this video that you just press this slice button and it literally slices whatever text or image you have out of the image it's on top of. So I put DIY in the heart, I highlighted both, I pressed slice, and boom, it created a cut image. So you can see on the right-hand side now, those are all of the cut images that I would have. Now, let's say you don't want to do that and you have an image or a graphic or a logo already created for you. You can see here is my DIY designer logo. They're PNGs, which means they're transparent because I had them professionally made. So if you have something like this, you'll see when you load it in, the background is blue and white checkered. That means it's already ready to go. The only thing that's going to be cut is going to be what's black. Right? So you can see that everything is already ready. So I don't have to do anything. I just click cut image, which is what you want to use when you're cutting. So click cut insert. Now I tap it again, and now I actually insert the image into my like designer. And you can see right now it's about 16 inches. That's way, way too big. So I'm just gonna scale it, and you'll see that the number is going to adjust, and it's letting me know how big the image is actually gonna print. So that's it. I would then print it, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. This first half is just about the designing part. So let's say you found images. I found this on a free website where you can download images for free, and I thought it was really cool. So it was a regular JPEG. It was not a PNG, it wasn't transparent. So when I load it in, all I have to do is tap, tap, tap until I get that blue and white checkered background everywhere except for what I wanna see. Now I clicked continue, and you can see that there were some pieces that I missed. So I just click back. I zoom in a lot so that I have better access to the detail within the drawing, and I just click anything that's white. This is getting rid of it so that it will be a cut image. It will cut out, and all I'm left with is the outline. I decided to keep the lips because I thought it looked kind of like lipstick and I liked it. So there's a bunch of the ones that I tried before I actually showed you how I did it. I'm gonna tap on the one that I just did and insert image. Now you can see on the left, I've done a few, and I'm gonna show you how I did that. So within this particular design, I basically combined two. I imported in just a simple JPEG that I found for free, or that I had created, whatever you want, and I combined it with text that I'm creating on the actual platform. Now you'll see on the top under fonts, it says all, system, and Cricut. Cricut has its own fonts that you can use. You also have system fonts, which are the fonts that you downloaded, and all is a combination of both. Now I'm adjusting it to size so that I can get a sense of what size to actually print them out on. See on the right-hand side how there's all these different cuts? I don't want that, right? I want all of the word to be one cut. So I highlight all of the words, and on the bottom, I click weld, and you can see it turns it into one graphic exactly as is, on the angle as well, which I do change later. But I just click weld, and boom, all of those little individual cuts that were separated by words. The reason that it does that is that it tries to make the most use of your paper. So it was dividing all the words onto different pieces of paper, and I don't want that. I just want them as one. So you can see here, I've got the girls and I've got my font, and obviously the text right now is laid out on an angle, so it's taking up a lot of space. I straighten them out, and I do that later. Now, the next thing you're gonna do is it's gonna say pick your material. If you don't see your material listed right there on the front, you just go down to browse all materials, click the drop-down menu. I clicked iron on, I found Sport Flex, which is what I was using, and it will automatically set the pressure to default based off the material you've chosen. You don't need to know how to do that. It will remind you, if it's an iron on, to mirror your image, and this is really, really important because obviously it's gonna cut backwards so that when you lay it face down and iron it, it will transfer properly. So just go in and click mirror on every one of your images. Then all you do, you're gonna see on your machine, there's gonna be this little button that's flashing, that little button, and you're ready to go. So I needed to actually prep my mat with my fabric, or my vinyl rather. So you're gonna peel off the protective layer, and you're always gonna put your iron-on transfers with the shiny side down. Again, remember it's mirrored, right? So it's cutting backwards basically. So I lay it flat. If you have any big bubbles, you can use the tools that come with the Cricut to kind of like get rid of the bubbles, but it's super forgiving. So now I feed that in, and you can see there's that flashing button. It will feed it in, it will kind of scan, and then the Cricut C will start flashing, and it's ready to go. You just press the C, and it just does its thing. It's really wild. Like, it just does its thing. I mean, once I did it, I made like 10 of them in a few minutes because it's so fast. You can see the laser cuts there. I mean, it's so fine that you're like, are you sure? And then next thing you know, you start peeling, and it just creates this perfect image. Now, I'm obviously speeding up this video. You're gonna wanna take your time doing it. It's a really precise, perfect cut. You don't have to be super ginger, but just be careful as you go and kind of work with the image. Once you get the majority of the bulk out, that's when you're gonna use this little weeding tool. It's got a super sharp edge, and it lets you kind of pick up any little nooks and crannies that you clicked with to get blue and white, right? Remember, we clicked all of those? So they're cut out, they're ready to be pulled out, and you just need to get in there and kind of pick them out. And there you go, she was ready to go, my girl. You can see it's sort of charcoal looking because again, it's backwards. So here is my sweatshirt. First thing you wanna do is obviously mark your center. So I just took my sweatshirt and folded it in half. I marked the center up by my hood, and I marked the center at my base. And now I'm putting in my ironing mat inside. I recommend putting your sweatshirt on and kind of marking it with a chalk just to make sure that where you think the image should be, it should be. You always want to start by prepping your fabric with some heat. So take the Cricut iron, which I'm obsessed with and I've used on multiple projects now that are not Cricut projects, and just prep that fabric. Now I gently laid the image down to make sure that everything looked centered. Once I knew it was centered, I pushed, pressed, and I'm ready to start ironing. You're just gonna take the iron and you're not gonna rub. You're just gonna put it down, press the C, and it's gonna count down. If you're not sure of what heat to use, on the website, again, it's like the most user-friendly thing. You set what kind of heat transfer material you're using and what kind of fabric you're using. It will automatically tell you the temperature and the amount of time that you should use and any other tips that you should keep in mind. So I have mine already set to the right temperature at the right time, and I'm making sure that I hit both sides of the fabric. Now, one thing I forgot to show you is you do want to hit it from the back side as well. So flip it inside out. But once that's done, you're ready to go, and you can see how easily it peels, and it's got this really cool metallic, it looks almost like a really inky pen, like I just drew it right on the sweatshirt. So now I'm cutting out the words. Now, one thing I'll say that I realized after I did it, which I think would have saved some time and even some material, is that I could have welded the one-of-a-kind into the image with the girls. So remember how I welded all the words together so they became one specific cut image on their angle? Well, I could have put one of a kind in the arm and then welded that as a whole image, and the one of a kind would have actually been within this very first cut. I just learned it, but it's no problem. All I did now is, prep this image, lay it down exactly where I wanted it, and I'm gonna iron it. I did decide, and I don't know if this is necessary, but I don't know, like logically it felt like the right idea. I protected what I had already done because I was like, I don't know if the iron can like be directly on the graphic. I don't know. So just in case I did prep it, once I hit the iron for the same amount of time, I just peeled off. And you'll see right when I get to the end, the D got a little like, I was like, oops, that's not ready yet. So I just laid it back down. I hit it with a little more love. And
all right, so as you can see,
done.
It's really easy to just create a graphic within the platform, and there's a million tools if you want to learn how to do more complicated things. It's like a Google away. So that's really cool. But now what I want to show you is how I actually created a bunch of graphics in Canva. Canva's a totally free platform that you can use, and when you add text, there's all these pre-made text options, like mixes of fonts and layouts that you could just like delete their text and type in yours. And when you save that image, again, when you pop it into Cricut, it will just convert to an SVG. And now you can have like these more complicated graphics that maybe you couldn't design, or you don't know how to design on your own, or maybe you don't own those fonts. You don't need to own those fonts. It's really, really cool. Like it's such a great hack.
So let's talk about this. Here is the Canva website. It's totally free. You can even do it on your phone. And you can see as I'm hovering over all these text options, you see free, 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 and some of them say pro. All of these are totally free to use, free with the platform. There is a pro version, but you don't need it. These are all free and there's plenty. Now let's say this is the one I want. Keep in mind that the more colors there are, the more cuts you're gonna have. So this particular font would have a red cut, a black cut, and a teal cut, just to keep that in mind. Now, let's say I just want to create my own graphic. Dream, then do. That is my motto. First dream up an idea, then go and do the idea. So all I do is recreate it within the font that they did. Now here's another one. I loved the mix of a small, regular, sort of all caps mixed with kind of more of a script font. And again, I'm able to use the design they did, the scale, the size, the mix of the fonts, the colors, and just change it for my words. So you're one of a kind, dress like it. That's all I had to do. Now I just save it. I can save it as a JPEG, I can save it as a PNG with a transparent background. Let's say you don't have the ability to have a transparent background and you just basically save it as an image. You're gonna save it. It's gonna be sitting in your downloads. I'm gonna start a new project, find my templates, and just for frame of reference here, you can see all of the templates they have. So like, it kind of sparks the creativity as well. Go into upload image, browse, go to your download folder, and there it is. There's our graphics. You can see right now it's just like text on one giant picture. Now I'm gonna go to this part where I'm gonna be clicking, right? That's on the bottom right as you click continue. I tap the main part of the background, it all goes blue. I tap inside all of the letters, that goes blue. And then again, all these little teeny lines, if I want those little bits cut out, I have to tap them. Otherwise, they'll just be solid, which will look fine, but I won't get these really cool little highlights. So you gotta get in there and click, click, click. So zoom in as much as you can.
Once you do that, the image is ready. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys can just create text on like a Word doc, like on anything, and just import it, and it converts instantly into the PNG by simply tapping the background. Then all I do is import it, scale it to the right size of what I would want, and I move forward to the next process. So it's really, really easy. Here's another one that I did, and I actually make this one, so I'll take you through it. But I wanted to do this idea of like powered by individuality or like powered by creativity is something that means a lot to me. So I wrote the word powered by, and in effects, I just simply curved it. Like I curved it. I'm just looking at it until I like it. I wrote the word individuality. I played around with some of the fonts that they have for free, and I'm just adding and mixing the fonts together. Again, you can use the ready-made ones that they have. You can design your own. Whatever you want to do, you can do that. So I saved each of those as individual images. And then again, browse, find them, grab them, pop them in. Here you go. You can see it's just a simple image with a white background. All I have to do is tap the background and the inside of all of the letters that I want cut. Same with this guy, tap, tap, tap. And I have now like a professionally made PNG graphic, right? It turns into what Cricut needs, which is the SVG file. You don't need to do a whole conversion process. It's really ready to go. For this one, I knew I was gonna cut them both out of the same material and then divide them onto 2 different t-shirts. So you can see it's there, and I make sure to press mirror because it's gonna be an iron-on. And I look at the mat and I can see exactly how much fabric or vinyl transfer I need. I'm gonna go all the way down until I find holographic, click it, and it's ready to go, right? I put the amount that I needed. I follow what image I saw on the mat, which was about like 9 inches by 4 inches. I cut out a piece, I put it on, I feed it in, I press the button, it just cuts, and then I just start peeling, right? It looks really, really cool. And this is where you're just gonna start pulling out even that little, look at this, beep, that little time. I mean, it is so insanely precise. So I thought this would be really cool on this blue sweatshirt because the holographic is gonna pick up blue sometimes and pink sometimes. I folded my graphic in half to find center and then lined it up where I had marked my center. And now I'm just treating it as long as I should. One thing that you can do is if you feel like maybe your fabric's gonna get affected, you can put a sort of protective layer in between it. But then again, this is what I talked about earlier. Always make sure that you flip it inside out and you hit it for about 15 seconds from the backside as well. Then you're just gonna peel it off and it's good to go. I mean, it's really, really cool, you guys. You can do this on anything. I mean, think about doing it on jean pockets, on jacket backs, on, I mean, that's just clothes, but you could really do it on anything. I put the script one on the back of a tie-dye t-shirt, and again, it picks up the colors that's reflecting right next to it. And then this one was very, very cool. This is one that said powered by creativity. And this particular transfer is like the standard. And what I like is it's matte. So once it transfers in, you'll see that it actually looks like a screen printing. It looks like that really good thick like ink when you get a screen printed t-shirt because it sort of fuses in this very matte fabric. Now I was finding my center, and one sort of hack for that is like literally counting your letters, finding the middle letter and making sure that that middle letter is centered. That's what I did, and again, I hit it from the back, and then I peeled. It almost lifted off like completely on the first half, and then I felt resistance on the second half, so I went back in, treated it with a little bit more heat, and peeled back. So you wanna make sure you're peeling it when it's warm. That's really important to do it when it's warm. And you can see, look, like it fuses. You can even see the texture of the sweatshirt underneath it, which I think is super cool and really looks awesome. Oh, I love it. So I want to show you something I did for my son. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but man, this kid was so excited. I let him peel and kind of taught him like hold it close, pull tight, but you got to listen to his reaction in a second. It's so funny. Like, what is he, like 30?
I'm about to have a panic attack and I want to hold it in. I'm trying to hold it in.
Holy moly.
All right, guys, well, that is it. I'm gonna show you a couple of the ones that I made. I really just mainly took some photos and very little video for you to see them. I've machine washed all of them and they are absolutely perfect. No issue with machine washing. I'm really excited, man. If you're thinking about getting one, I just can't recommend it enough. This is like, I don't know, I just feel like there's so much more that I can do now. Like if I design something, I can take it to the next level by adding like a custom logo or even adding my own labels to all my DIYs. Like there's just a million things that I can do. Creating merch for my podcast, like making cool mugs for guests. I mean, it's just never ending. And so I just really recommend it. So if you're thinking about it, do it. I'll have a link down below for the one that I have and some of the other materials that I have that I really love. Just do it. Do it, do it, do it if you've been thinking about it. It's so easy. It's not hard. There's no learning curve, as you saw. That's it. Guys, thank you so much for being here this week. I really appreciate you. I've got another fantastic video next week, so I'll see you next week, and I hope you all have a beautiful week. Mwah! Love you.
There's a world inside my head. I get lost in it from time to time. No one has a spare key, the only one is inside of me. Oh, I don't really dare to escape. Fall out in another space, so I stay. Hey, oh here we go, feeling so overflow. I don't really know what's on, 'cause I'm a restless soul. Oh here we go, feeling so overflow. I don't know where to go, yeah I'm a homeless soul. There's a war in me tonight. I try to stop it by escaping it. This game has lost its fun. Grab me out, take me down. Hey, I don't really dare to escape. Fall out in another space, so I stay. Hey, oh here we go, feeling so overflow. I don't really know what's on, 'cause I'm a restless soul. Oh here we go, feeling so overflow. I don't know where to go, yeah I'm a homeless soul. I don't wanna fall back down, 'cause I already touched the ground. So please hear me. Oh here we go, feeling so overflow. I don't really know what's on, 'cause I'm a restless soul.